UFC 309 is in the books. And what can we say about Jon Jones's performance? That was an absolute masterclass. In my humble opinion, I think that was Jon Jones' best performance to date since the DC2 fight. He looked on in there. The way he has his striking style with that single variance, single shot selections, but keeping you guessing with them, whether it's a stabbing jump kick to the knee, jab, that teep out of the southpaw stance, all of the open body kicks, the head kicks. He really keeps you guessing to the point where it really froze Stipe Miocic, who, yes, he looked old tonight. There are a lot of questions about, this matchup to begin with, but let's not take anything away from Jon Jones because he looked on fire tonight. And with the amount of questions we had about him going into this heavyweight fight and about him in the heavyweight division in general, he showed up and showed out tonight. And I think he really impressed a whole lot of people, myself included. I had nothing against Jon Jones or his skills. The guy is one of the greatest fighters, probably the greatest fighter of all time. His dominance, what he's done in the UFC, nothing short of spectacular. My whole thing was just him holding up the division with Tom Aspinall. But hearing him get on the mic afterwards and entertain that, hearing the crowd go wild, that's what we want to see. And objectively, it's a really winnable fight for Jon Jones. Like, the people saying Tom Aspinall is going to smoke Jon Jones, the matchup in itself is a really intriguing, competitive matchup. And that's why we all wanted it, So very glad to hear Jon Jones finally entertain the matchup, against Tom Aspinall to unify this division. Let's jump into that main event. Jon Jones, like I said, retains his heavyweight championship, defeating Stipe Miocic, the greatest heavyweight of all time. In most people's books, mine included, Stipe is an absolute legend, but he really looked old in there tonight. It was a really, really sad to watch, unfortunately. Jon Jones, let's not take anything away from him in this performance. He was on fire. That trip he just threw Stipe down with was absolutely beautiful. Jon Jones, even on the feet tonight, was teeing up Stipe Miocic. The jabs, the body work in particular, that body work was beautiful. The teeps up the middle were lethal. And then adding in those round kicks as well. Jones did a really great job of just systematically destroying Miocic, just stripping him back. You saw how tentative and hesitant Miocic was to exchange. He'd get into the positions to throw punches and he'd leave himself so open in that void and get countered for it so many times that he just didn't have the will to keep putting himself in those positions. That finishing blow, that spinning back kick, Jon hit that earlier in the fight. That was beautiful, that finisher. Jump, span, and just unleash that spinning back kick. That's one of Holloway's moves. To see heavyweight Jon Jones do that, that is absolutely spectacular. Like I said, I think, in my opinion, this was Jon Jones at his best. Since that DC2 fight, he really looked like he has years ahead of him. So many skills left in the tank. It doesn't look like he's lost a step. And to be saying that at heavyweight, it's a dangerous thing. And let's see that fight with Tom Aspinall. Everyone wants to see it. It's going to be an absolutely massive fight. One of the biggest fights in the UFC that you could make. And I think it's going to be a competitive fight. Regardless who wins, Tom Aspinall's going to give Jon some stuff he needs to worry about more than what Stipe Miocic could do tonight, which is always entertaining. And outside of Tom Aspinall, is there a challenge for Jon Jones in the UFC? Like we talk about the Pereira-Poatan fight. It's a bit more of a novelty fight. But after tonight, do you guys think Poatan would beat Jon Jones? Like, yeah, if anyone stands with Poatan on the feet for long enough, they're going to get KO'd. But the way Jones systematically approaches opponents, his fight IQ, he is so intelligent in that cage, and it's what makes him so special. So I think Tom Aspinall is the only challenge left for him in the UFC. Let's do that fight. Let's get Jon Jones paid, give him what he deserves, and run that one up. Because like I said, that's going to be one of the biggest fights of 2025. Stipe Miocic, he hangs them up tonight. 42 years old. What a legend of the sport. Let's just take a moment to appreciate his career. The guy gave us so many amazing moments, so much excitement, and achieved a lot in that division. Achieved, some really spectacular things. The longest streak for title defenses in that division, and he's an absolute legend. So hats off to Stipe. What a great career. Happy to see him walk away. He's too old to be taking that sort of punishment. Enjoy being a firefighter. Take care of your family, and get out of this limelight of MMA that is so taxing on you. I know how much you love the fighting, but you can see he doesn't want to be here doing any of these interviews. So give Stipe his peace and quiet. Let that guy ride on into the sunset, because if anyone deserves it, he does. The co-main event was absolute fireworks. Really, really entertaining stuff. Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira. We knew this fight was going to be spectacular going in. We saw their first fight. Now, it started off a little bit slower. Chandler was a bit more measured, fighting behind the jab, going, who is this? And then Charles Oliveira, he looked like a different level tonight. Maybe it was just because he had Michael Chandler in front of him, but Charles Oliveira, his ability to mix it all up, the grappling, the striking, he's so dangerous everywhere. And he did it over 5 rounds tonight against Michael Chandler, who is as dangerous as anyone can be in that lightweight division. We saw at the end of the 5th round, Michael Chandler almost comes back, finishes Oliveira. So for Oliveira to get through that, win a unanimous decision over Michael Chandler, who thought that fight was going to go to the decision? Regardless, we get there, and Charles Oliveira progresses in a killer's row of the division. Give him the next title shot after Sarukian gets his shot. Charles Oliveira, what a savage. Been in the UFC for 15 years. Like I said, his ability to mix up the striking and the grappling, he gets you so worried about the striking. He had Chandler so hesitant against the cage, high guard, and that's when he shoots. He is a master of MMA, mixing the martial arts. He is so slick. Such a fan favorite. Nothing but love for Charlie Olives, and it's so nice to see him win. On the other side, Chandler, does he lose any stock from this performance? What he did in the 5th round, vintage Michael Chandler, picking up Oliveira from the back twice for the slam. The guy knows what he's doing. He knows how to entertain the crowd. Chandler, you're an absolute savage, my friend, and we love you for it. Regardless of him not getting the win, like I said, his stock doesn't really drop. That McGregor fight's there, That McGregor fight's there. If McGregor is going to fight again, I think he should fight Chandler. Max Holloway versus Chandler for the BMF belt. Sign me up. Chandler may not ever reach the title, the undisputed title in this division. I think it's pretty safe to say that at this point in his career, he probably won't. But he can double down on what makes him so entertaining and exciting as a fighter and provide us with some amazing fights. Him against Holloway, what a fight. And Chandler for the BMF, he is a BMF. Get that guy in there for that title. He deserves it. And him versus Holloway is the perfect next matchup to make after this fight. What an entertaining co-main event. Both of these guys are warriors. You saw the respect in there between them as well. 2 of the most loved guys in this whole division. It was an absolute treat to watch. The rest of the card was pretty good, Bo Nickal. The crowd was not loving that one, were they? Bo Nickal, Paul Craig. It's such a shame when 2 grapplers, 2 great grapplers, like Paul Craig, Bo Nickal, awesome grapplers. And we have to watch them have one of the worst kickboxing fights you'll ever see for 15 minutes. I know they respect each other's grappling so much, but guys, as a fight fan, I would have loved to see that fight hit the ground. I think that would have been so exciting. What we got, Bo Nickal landing some good left hands to the body, a few overhand lefts. Yes, he beat a very experienced guy very early into his career and did it with some good composure. But it's just he looks so green in there on the feet. Like, Paul Craig is a terrible striker, and he was landing shots on Bo Nickal. Could you imagine him in there, like Bo Nickal, with some ranked guys at middleweight? He's just not there. His development is not there. You heard the crowd chanting overrated. That's a nuts chant for MSG to get going. Like, to synchronize up overrated, that is absolutely wild. Bo Nickal gets booed out of the arena. You know, you have to sort of feel bad for him because objectively, for a guy 6-0 in his career, he put together a really composed performance over a veteran in the game and picks up a good name on his record, continues to improve. But, you know, once Bo Nickal's made this sort of name for himself, dusting off these tomato cans in a minute, like he talked about in the post-fight interview, people expect this level of excitement, and it just wasn't there for him tonight. His hype train is, you know, starting to lose a lot of steam, I think. But regardless, he's moving up in the division. He doesn't take a loss or anything, and he's going to get a bigger name next, which is going to be a big challenge, I think, for Bo Nickal because, you know, after beating someone like Paul Craig, you can't go backwards now. Like, you're at the point in this division where things are going to really start to heat up. So let's see if Bo Nickal can hang. Mauricio Rufy looking like a bigger Conor McGregor. That guy's striking, his style to watch, so fun, so exciting. How dynamic he is on the feet is beautiful. His distance management, those shovel hooks he was landing. Lontop is so tough because most guys would have gone down after any of those knockdowns. But Lontop tried to stay in there, you know, and keep fighting and ends up winning the third round. What a savage. But Mauricio Rufy, second fight in the UFC, gets 15 minutes and wins some hype, wins some fans. The guy's coming out of the Fighting Nerds. Great team. And they all say he's the best. He looks like a killer. I cannot wait to see him get matched again at lightweight. You guys need to watch out for him as a prospect because he has some really, really nice skills, especially on the feet. Marcus McGee picks up a great win over Jonathan Martinez and survives barely. His leg got destroyed in the end of that second round. For him to work through that for a whole nother 5 minutes and, you know, continue to touch up Jonathan Martinez. Yeah, Marcus McGee really impressed me tonight. I favored him going into this matchup. I knew his skills. I knew the team he trained with, but to see it happen, to see him get 15 hard minutes over someone like Jonathan Martinez is special. And I think Marcus McGee, he looks complete. Like, he doesn't look like needs to pick up anything else along the way. He's a bit older in his career now, but he's complete, and I think him in the top 15 of this division, top 10, is going to be so exciting. Sign me up. His boxing is so special to watch. So yeah, we had some electric fights. David Onama coming in and displaying a beautiful performance. Roberto Romero, that kid was game, and that was an absolute crazy fight. If you guys didn't see that one, go back and check that one out because they went to war for 15 minutes. Tybura getting a good win, destroying that guy's face. That was horrific. The cuts on both eyelids there, far out. Imagine getting that stitched up later. Please let me know what you guys thought about the event tonight. I'm sure everyone was impressed by Jon Jones' performance, just like I was, and I'd love to hear your input on all of the rest of the fights down the card. I know this is going to create some great storylines and set up some really, really exciting matchups moving forward. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really, really appreciate that, and we will chat soon.